If you guys have grown up playing games, or at least just whatever you're doing in Windows 98, like maybe go on the internet, play Minesweeper, Pinball 3D, and you name it, then this is the perfect fit for you guys to basically play. This is Desktop Survivors 98, made by one guy, and it's basically a combination of both Vampire Survivors and also a dungeon crawling game. What this is that, like I said, it's a Vampire Survivors type game, but this game is $5, just like the regular Vampire Survivors game. And with this one, you go around and you can choose whichever cursor you want to play with. And each cursor has their own special weapons. A normal cursor really just shoots, well, cursors at other things. And there's other type of stuff like a recycling bin. There's even a cursor that resembles Doom. And yeah, it's basically Doom. But in this, of course. And also, for whatever reason being, Cookie Clicker. I'm not making this up. Cookie Clicker is in there, and to be even more ironic, there's actually cookies that can actually heal you, so you have to really try to make sure you find them if you really want to get healed. So each time you level up and kill enemies, you get coins and gems. Then you have the option to do a couple of things. Get whichever weapons you want. Well, one each, of course, just like any other Vampire Survivors clone. And secondly, you can also heal if you want to. And you can basically go to any order of the doors if you really want to. There's different places like you can fight a boss fight, and if you do that, you unlock an application, to be part of your little desktop. There's a couple of dungeon crawling places in the game, and it can take you a whole bunch of hours. There's a shop where you can buy upgrades for different abilities they can earn later in the game. But that's where the criticism can come in. I do find the money in the game expensive. I mean, comparing to regular Vampire Survivors and its clones, they really are low in the cost. But for whatever reason being, any of the items, I mean all of them, they are ridiculously high. Even when trying to buy a cursor, they are high regardless. So that's really the big takeaway on that one. But again, you can basically unlock them by either keep playing the game or try to earn more money and try to get more cursors if you can. There are a bunch of achievements where you can basically survive with different cursors in like maybe 5, 10, 15 rooms, you name it. But the bosses in the game as well are pretty challenging. But I also want to mention too is that there's blackjack. There's also an application in the game where you can, start digging for like gems, and they should earn you some bonuses for the main game itself. But I also want to mention too is that when you come to the dungeons and whatever too, there's a shop where you can get a random item, and you can have that as your slot. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like a weapon you haven't earned, or you can just basically get the upgraded version of the existing weapon that you may have. And there's also a one where it's a Joker Clown one. You make a deal, right? Risk it all or don't. If you win, you get a great bonus. If you lose, you get a terrible bonus. So you really are on the risk with all these things. So you gotta really be careful as to what plan you want to do in this game. So here's the thing too. If you guys are worried about lack of controller support, which I don't know why you should, you can use it. Although there is a launcher option if you want to go on big picture or console mode. So you do have that option if you want to play the game with the controller or the Steam Deck. So it really doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying or at least having a great time with the game itself. I should mention too is that if you go to the options menu, you can play around the settings if you want like background layers for dungeons. You don't have to, which I don't know why you would. But I should tell you guys this is that when you create your own desktop thing or whatever as you're seeing the background, that's the in-game background, not the real one. But like I mentioned, you can play on your regular desktop if you really want to, but at the same time, if you want to play in a desktop where it makes it feel like Windows 98, you can. there's clouds. As you're seeing, there's teal. You can basically create your own background. Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say you can import your own background wallpaper into the game itself, and you can basically play like that. But like I said, you can also go around and basically find whichever background you want that makes it feel like Windows 98. And the icons in the game also do a pretty good job at pretty much replicating Windows 98. And I know what I'm talking about too, because I've actually owned a Windows 98 back then, and that was the first operating system I've used before, well, Windows XP existed. So yeah, there's even its own screensaver in the game. So if you wait a couple of seconds, it'll show you a screensaver, and you get an achievement for it. So that's pretty much a huge, cool details that this guy ended up doing. Was make the game feel like you're actually playing something that's on Windows 98. And I think that's what the goal was for, and pretty much nails every aspect of the game itself. Now, instead of Clippy, you have those little sword guys you see on the screen. Yeah, pretty funny. So yeah, you can play on, like, if you want your regular desktop little tabs open, you can, but if you don't want to, the sword guy is, well, for you. Or you can basically just, like, go to options and disable it, but I'll leave that up to you. I should have mentioned some weapons. Now, I've already stated that there was Cookie Clicker, but there was also Minesweeper. There are some locks that's supposed to be like more like shield stuff or whatever. And there's even, like, it's crazy. There's a buttload of stuff there. Minesweeper. There's too much. There's a lot of weapons that you guys can play around with. Sometimes you have to unlock them by completing other challenges or rooms or fight certain bosses or whatever. And you can even collect treasure. These can give you sometimes weapons or most of the time coins, which you'll need the coins in order to do such thing and in order to progress to get more unlockables. Trust me, you're gonna need those unlockables. So you have plenty of ways to mess around in this game, and this is all just for $5. It may seem small, but trust me, $5 just for several hours of gameplay is definitely worth it. So every time you would just play, it's like everything would be randomized. I'm not kidding. Everything would just be randomized. The door orders. It doesn't matter which places you'll be at anyways too. So whichever weapon you prefer, you can always do that. I would read whichever weapon they have first before doing anything in terms of buying. But if you want to get every cursor, you can. They all have like their own unique designs and everything else like that. So all I can say is Desktop Survivors is definitely anything that you guys can get if you guys are a huge fan of Windows 98, or perhaps if you really want to feel old school. And that's basically it.